Trump, what a liar. What a liar. He was robbing you $13 billion to pay for a genocide because Miriam Adelson and her late husband gave him over $300 million in bribes. And if you're in American media and you don't call it bribes, you're a liar. Oh no, it just, she did it for general charity. She did it because she loves the American people. Not because, as she told Donald Trump, you will follow my orders on Israel. And Donald Trump has loyally followed Adelson's orders on Israel. Those are facts.
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay?
Israel is currently annexing the West Bank, but the president of the United States would like you to believe that he's not going to let it happen. It's been happening, it will continue to happen. And the American president, who right now happens to be a Republican, but it would be the same if it were a Democrat, is going to be a good boy and let Israel do as it pleases with the resources being provided by the American people. That's the reality of the situation. But let's entertain what Trump is claiming here for a second. So apparently on Tuesday, Trump also met with the leaders of Qatar, Jordan, Turkey, Pakistan, Egypt, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and others. And the whole point of this meeting was to, I'm sure, discuss all sorts of foreign policy as it pertains to the Middle East and Israel. And per the Wall Street Journal, an Arab official briefed on the meeting said that though Trump spoke vaguely at times, he was clear that he would try to prevent Netanyahu from annexing the West Bank. So he had said this during the meeting with Arab leaders, and then later he proceeded to answer a reporter's question and say, yes, I'm going to stop Netanyahu and the Israeli government from stealing more land, even though I have facilitated the opportunity for them to do just that. Now, Trump also stated that he is pushing a US peace plan to end the genocide in Gaza. And hopefully that peace plan would look a little better than the fake peace plan that he claims Armenia and Azerbaijan signed. But let's just talk about what Trump claims he's going to do through this plan. It would include an immediate ceasefire, which Israel has shown over and over again it has no intention of doing. A gradual Israeli withdrawal from Gaza. Let's all pause for laughter. Israel's not going to do that. The release of all hostages, which Hamas has offered to do over and over again in return for a permanent ceasefire. Israel has not signed on to that. And an interim government for Gaza without Hamas. It would instead be headed by Arab and Muslim majority countries in the region. Now that sounds amazing. That's not gonna happen. So he can go ahead and promise everything that he wants to promise. He's gonna claim whatever he wants to claim. But nothing will change unless the United States government stop borrowing money to then send over to Israel so they can buy American bombs to slaughter people and steal more land. He's not gonna stop facilitating that. So as long as he continues that whole process, Israel will do as it pleases. Because as Tucker Carlson has said, well, I don't want to put words in his mouth. Let's remember what Tucker Carlson said recently.
Bibi's running around, this is a fact, I'm not guessing about this, because I talked to people he said it to, is running around the Middle East, his region, and his own country, and telling people point blank, just stating it, I control the United States, I control Donald Trump. He's saying that, and again, I'm not guessing at all. That's a fact, and I dare them to say that's not true, because it is true and they know it's true.
I agree wholeheartely with what Tucker Carlson said there, and it is humiliating. Go ahead, Cenk.
Anna, I also have a source, and they said in essence the same thing, and they said that Netanyahu is basically bragging / threatening other countries by saying that he has America, quote, in his back pocket. And so that's somebody telling me that that's what Netanyahu is saying to other world leaders. Basically, you better not disagree with me, because I could do anything I want to you, and America will back me up because they're in my back pocket.
Isn't it humiliating to see a welfare state that relies on American money to brag about how we're in his back pocket? Isn't that humiliating? And that we don't have political leaders who look out for us and protect us from that, humiliation on the international stage day in and day out? Yeah. Anyway.
So now I want to tell you the rhetorical trick that's being played in regards to the West Bank. The Israelis are not officially annexing the West Bank, so Trump can say, see, I stopped them, right? But what they just did was they gave final approval for expanding settlements in Area E1. Why that's so important is because that splits the West Bank in half and makes a Palestinian state in the West Bank nearly impossible. They know that, they brag about it, and so they're basically saying, haha, we just took every chance of a Palestinian state off the board. We absolutely obliterated Gaza, and now we split the West Bank in half. So whatever is official is not as relevant as what is happening on the ground, de facto. So that's why there's a lot of tricks here. But the bottom line is, and another report by Ken Klippenstein that we covered a little while ago, the US, when the other nations take action in the United Nations and say we recognize Palestine, has talking points written by Israel. Basically, I don't know that they're literally written by Israel, but they're identical to Israel's propaganda, and they go around bullying and threatening every country and saying, "You better not recognize Palestinians. You think they're human? You think they should have the same rights as every other human? No way! Our bloodthirsty partners in Israel. We've given them $300 billion, now we've given them a genocide, and it's not enough. You all have to bow down." So I guess Netanyahu was right. He does have us in his back pocket. So that nonsense tough guy talk from Trump, he's a little doggy. He follows whatever Netanyahu ordered him to do. And by the way, this is not partisan at all, not 1%. Joe Biden was also a dog of Israel and did everything he was commanded to do. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
Well, no one can.
Right.
He allowed for the incoming administration, the Trump administration, to inherit what's happening in Gaza. So I just want to note a few other things. Netanyahu is visiting with Trump in the White House on Monday. I mean, how many visits have happened already? This guy comes and visits the Anyway, President Netanyahu, we should start calling him at this point. Now, Israel is gonna do what it wants to do anyway. Again, as long as we continue supplying their weapons, they will do whatever they want. So the Israeli government and its officials are calling on Netanyahu to formally annex the West Bank. That has been the message that we've been sharing with you all over and over again. Israel's communications minister, for instance, wrote the following: "Sovereignty is not just the most proper Zionist response, but also this is simply our land, the land of our forefathers. We may declare today full sovereignty. We must declare today full sovereignty now, and don't settle for less." That's Shlomo Karhi, the Israeli communications director, just saying that land that doesn't belong to the Israelis should belong to the Israelis. Anyway, on Sunday, Itamar Ben-Gvir, one of the other Israeli terrorists in the Israeli government and is the Israeli Minister of National Security, made a similar comment. Here's what he wrote on X: "The recognition by Britain, Canada, and of a Palestinian state as a reward for the murderers demands immediate countermeasures, the immediate application of sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, and the complete crushing of the Palestinian Terror Authority." I have to say, the one thing that I find super fascinating is that anytime after October 7th, if anyone tried to make an accurate statement, putting that horrific day in context, to speak of the evils that have been carried out for decades by the Israeli government against the Palestinian people, what you would hear over and over again from defenders of Israel is, "You can't, no, how dare you? Or you're justifying the attack." That doesn't justify what happened on October 7th. Okay, fair enough. But then how do you use October 7th over and over again to carry out endless atrocities, not just in Gaza, but also the West Bank and Lebanon and Yemen and Iran and Iraq and Tunisia? I mean, all the different countries sovereign countries that have been effectively bombed and attacked by the Israelis since October 7th.
Okay, so Now my frustration with American media as usual. They act like we have no leverage. The leverage is the most obvious thing in the world, the money we give them. But that's off the table. Often not, it's not, you can't consider it. Why? Why can't I? You want to talk about sovereignty, brother? Do we have sovereignty? Does America have sovereignty, or are we the dogs of Israel? Because the American press treats it like, how dare you? Demanding American sovereignty is anti-Semitism. You owe Israel, right? That's what they say every time. And they say, when I say, why do we owe Israel? Anti-Semite. I don't hate anybody, brother. But I don't like us serving a different country. I didn't immigrate to Israel, I immigrated to America. So, okay, so let's talk about Biden. Biden gave, our American government gives $3.8 billion every year to Israel because we owe them. I don't know why we owe it. $310 billion we've given them so far. So on top of that, Biden gave him another $18 billion. So he's like, oh, great job on the genocide. Murder more Palestinians. By the way, I'm such a sweet old man. Oh, I'm such a nice guy, Joe Biden. Tell everybody I'm such a sweet guy. Murder the Palestinians with our money. Here, shut up, an American. Go back to work. You haven't worked enough for Israel. They haven't killed enough Palestinians yet. And Trump comes in, oh, I'm anti-war. I'm gonna solve this, right? And what did he do? 7 billion more? 6, you guys even know this? Because our press, they barely even talk about it. And 3/4 of the articles say, oh, Israel got a new arms deal. They're buying arms from us. And then you look into it, you have to research, and then you look into it. They're not buying any arms. We're giving them the 7 billion, and then they buy arms with the 7 billion we just gave them. So no, it's a total robbery. They're totally taking it from us. But the media says, shush, go back to work for Israel. And if you don't, you're an anti-Semite. Okay, no, you guys hate Palestinians. Our press, our politicians, deeply racist against Arabs, think that their lives are worthless. But if you say in Israel, oh, precious Israeli, the most important people in the world. Oh, you slaughtered 20,000 Palestinian kids? Who cares? They're just Arabs. Bunch of sick racists. Judea Samaria is the theoretical biblical reference to the West Bank and Gaza Strip. That is Ben Gvir and many other Israeli politicians saying, yeah, well, of course we're gonna steal that land. We're gonna rob it from the Palestinians who live on it now, and we're gonna slaughter them, and we're gonna ethnically cleanse them. He's a literal convicted terrorist enabler in Israel. It's a terrorist government. They've done 66 October 7ths, but yet we all have to go and work another shift. Go work again, go back to the mines, go back to the assembly lines, because they need more money. They need to take money out of your pocket. That's a literal fact. That is a literal fact. And the press will lie to you and say, oh, you cannot say that fact. You need to shut up if you're an American. If you complain about this country taking your money, then you're a hateful person. And we're gonna ruin your life. We're gonna call you an anti-Semite. We're gonna say you hate people. And we're gonna destroy you on behalf of Israel. But no, Israel has no control here. That's just a trope, no control. So I wanna apologize to Palestinians and Palestinian leadership or whoever in the protests, etc. Because I said in the beginning, they shouldn't say from the river to the sea. That statement is from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Doesn't talk about murdering Jews, they made that up. It turns out everything from Israel is talking point lie, okay? Who actually said from the river to the sea, we're gonna take it all? Benjamin Netanyahu. And press, did you say anything about it? Cable news, did you call him a terrorist? Did you say he was saying something terrible? Every time they say Judea and Samaria, that means we're gonna ethnically cleanse the Palestinians and steal their land. Did you say anything about it, press? Do you call them terrorists? Do you call them unacceptable? Are we doing congressional hearings? No, precious, beloved Israel on a mantle. No one's allowed to criticize. All of you Americans, you all are hateful. You hate Jews, they say. No, brother. You tell Americans that they hate Jews one more time, and I'm super worried you're gonna turn it into a reality. What are you doing? So now we have to give infinite money to Israel, and Trump, what a liar, what a liar. He was robbing you of $13 billion to pay for a genocide because Miriam Adelson and her late husband gave him over $300 million in bribes. And if you're an American media and you don't call it bribes, you're a liar. Oh no, it's just, she did it for general charity. She did it because she loves the American people. Not because, as she told Donald Trump, you will follow my orders on Israel. And Donald Trump has loyally followed Adelson's orders on Israel. Those are facts, but the American press will say, no, those are all true, 100% true, but you're not allowed to say it. And if you say the truth, we will bury you on behalf of Israel. And our politicians will bury you on behalf of Israel. I'm sick of Israel stealing our sovereignty and making our politicians work for them and not us. And I'm sick of them brutally slaughtering the Palestinians and then saying, I have a moral right to do it. It's my land, that's why I murdered them and took it. No, they're disgusting terrorists. That is a fact. And I think I'm sickened by the American politicians and the American press. Sickened by them. And they're all deeply racist against Arabs and deeply bigoted against Muslims. And they revel in it. I loathe them.
What is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up.
That might have to do with the fact that the UN Security Council is constantly, castrated by the United States vetoing their votes on anything wanting to hold Israel accountable for the genocide they're carrying out in Gaza. But I digress. This morning, President Donald Trump savaged the United Nations at the United Nations Assembly in New York. He questioned the point of the UN and even tore into European countries for their immigration policies. So just to be clear, the president of the United States is under the impression that the US can aid and abet Israel in destabilizing Muslim and Arab countries in the Middle East and in Africa, and then essentially lead to a massive refugee crisis, which ends up getting absorbed by Europe. And then we go ahead and we mock Europe about it. Okay, great. So for the sake of time, though, we're going to focus on one part of Trump's speech in particular, because early on in the speech, Trump lied for Israel like a good boy and essentially blamed Hamas for rejecting ceasefire deals when we all know that's not actually the case.
As everyone knows, I have also been deeply engaged in seeking a ceasefire in Gaza. Have to get that done. Have to get it done. Unfortunately, Hamas has repeatedly rejected reasonable offers to make peace. We can't forget October 7th, can we?
I mean, that's all we hear about from the United States government and from Israel, even though tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians have been slaughtered in the last nearly, 2 years? But okay, no one's forgotten about October 7th. But can we maybe spare a moment or two and think about all the innocent kids that have been slaughtered in Gaza? Maybe spare a minute or two to talk a little bit about all the various countries that have been bombed and airstriked by Israel. I mean, they're starting up a war in Lebanon right now as we speak. They're occupying Lebanon, southern Lebanon specifically. They've freaking bombed Tunisia. But the belligerent Israeli government can do whatever it wants. Okay, so Waz, the idea that Hamas has rejected ceasefire deals is particularly infuriating when again and again they do accept the ceasefire deals under Israel's terms. And then Israel's like, just kidding. And if you don't believe me, get a load of Matthew Miller, the former State Department spokesperson under the Biden administration.
The US basically accepted the Israeli notion of that we will not put any deal on the table that will end the war.
The prime minister wouldn't agree to it because frankly, we had spent the last few months seeing the government of Israel at times try and sabotage an approach to get to a ceasefire. They were always looking for ways to add conditions or make the terms more difficult.
Will it be true to say that you wanted a deal, a hostage deal, more than Israel?
I believe that's true.
So I want to be clear. Prior to Matthew Miller leaving the federal government, because Biden's term had ended, Matthew Miller was regurgitating the same lies that we're hearing from Donald Trump. So don't make a mistake to think, oh, Matthew Miller is a good guy. No, he was lying to our faces during the Biden administration about the very same thing. So Waz, I want to bring you in because, when we talk about the Uni-party, this is what people refer to. I get that there are some slight differences between the two parties as it pertains to social issues. But when it comes to war, when it comes to doing whatever Israel wants, both parties are complicit. There's no question. What do you think?
I mean, I don't see how you could say it's any differently when you look at the continuity between the Biden and the Trump administrations, particularly as it pertains to the war in Gaza. Right down to them leaking to Politico and Axios like, oh, Netanyahu did this thing that we're so pissed about, but are gonna do nothing about to change the outcomes. Like, it's literally a perfect continuity from one administration to the next. And how you know it's Uni-party crap is that just look at the opinion polls. Like, about 70% of Americans are opposed to our government support of Israel's ongoing war and genocide out in the Gaza Strip. And yet absolutely nothing gets done. I mean, like, it's just laughable to pretend that this is a Hamas thing at this point when they've carried on, when the Israelis have carried on their war for 2 years. They've more than extracted their pound of flesh. They freaking razed the place to the ground. They're assassinating peace talk leaders, okay, in places like Iran and Qatar and all of these other places. And this idea that they're the ones that are seeking to end the war and bring the hostages home is silly. And again, even when Trump got his first ceasefire deal, and there were supposed to be multiple phases to the ceasefire, we got phase 1. Benjamin Netanyahu wasted no time going in public. He was saying this in public. We're not gonna follow through on it. Like, the prime minister said this. You can go look it up back in January. So like, it's just laughable to think that this is anything other than what the Israelis obviously want.
And there has been a very intentional effort by the Israeli government. It's nothing new. It's been going on for a long time to essentially discredit the UN because the UN Security Council has consistently voted in trying to pressure Israel to stop, slaughtering innocent people. And it's always the United States that vetoes that vote. It just happened again recently, which is so loathsome and makes America look so terrible, right? You have the entire international community in agreement about what's going on and how Israel needs to be stopped. But the US is fully captured by the Israeli government. And it's beyond unfair to the American people because at this point, the majority of American people do not support what's going on in Gaza. And look, more importantly, guys, I want you to take a step back. Even if I can't imagine that we have people watching the show right now that doesn't care about the innocent lives lost in Gaza, but even if you find yourself in that position, and I'll do my best not to judge you. Okay, the US is bankrolling everything that Israel's doing. They have bombed so many countries. They're on a multi-front war right now. They're trying to get the Lebanese government to disarm Hezbollah. And in the meantime, they're occupying southern Lebanon. And I mean, they just killed 4 American citizens in Lebanon. That was a story that broke yesterday. It got no attention. There were some publications that wrote about it. 4 American citizens, 3 of them were children. And you want to know what the State Department said? State Department denies that they're American citizens. Oh, you want me to believe the US State Department that's run by Marco Rubio that just doesn't even see these people as human when it comes to what Israel wants to carry out? The same State Department that has considered violating the rights of American citizens who protest what Israel's doing. That State Department. And it's terrifying because it just tells me that it doesn't matter if Israel assassinates literal American citizens, our government doesn't even have our backs. There are American citizens who got killed in the West Bank. They went to go visit their family members in the West Bank and they got killed by Israeli settlers and nothing happened. Nothing. That's what our government is now. You think they care about us? They don't care about us. And that is a terrifying situation to find ourselves in, especially if you're vocally critical of Israel. All right, so during the speech at the UN General Assembly, Trump also chided other countries for, I don't know, having some semblance of morality by recognizing a Palestinian state. Here's the clip.
Now, as if to encourage continued conflict, some of this body is seeking to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state. The rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. This would be a reward for these horrible atrocities, including October 7th, even while they refuse to release the hostages or accept a ceasefire. Instead of giving to Hamas and giving so much, because they've taken so much, they have taken so much. This could have been solved so long ago. But instead of giving in to Hamas's ransom demands, those who want peace should be united with one message: release the hostages now. Just release the hostages now.
I want to be very clear. Israel, meaning the Israeli government, not the people, because the people have been protesting. They do care about the hostages. The government of Israel doesn't care about the hostages. And I find it hard to believe that there are still 20 living Israeli hostages in Gaza. Don't pretend like this is about the hostages. Israel has bombed several other countries that have nothing to do with Hamas. They're annexing the West Bank, has nothing to do with Hamas. It's just lies. And it's so sick to use those hostages as pawns to justify this ongoing slaughter. Yesterday, France, Luxembourg, Andorra, Malta, Monaco, and San Marino recognized Palestine as a state at the UN. The UK, Portugal, Canada, and Australia did the same on Sunday. Look, obviously, this is mostly symbolic. But it sucks, Waz, that it had to take this much slaughter for the international community to finally speak up.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to be so obvious. And, if you remember back in November of 2023, December, January of 24, places like New York Times and the Atlantic and CNN and the BBC, like they were running interference for what became so obvious from the beginning was not some effort to quash the quote unquote threat from Hamas. There was no operational coherence. It was just obvious that they were just out for blood and we're gonna carry out a brutal retaliation, a war of collective punishment against the Palestinian people. And very early on in those days, every single mainstream media outlet was running interference and running cover for the Israeli regime and the IDF and their horrible actions. It's just because there's just no justification. You cannot say that Israel, the country, and its safety is under some grave, imminent threat from a bunch of dudes hiding in tunnels in Hamas who have to carry out these guerrilla attacks when they do on IDF soldiers in Gaza, on the Gaza Strip. Like this idea that this ragtag group of militants could somehow pose an actual threat to the overall security is it's no longer a military operation. There are no military goals being achieved here. It's just, clearing out a city, demolishing a school, a hospital, a recreational center, a museum. That's it. That's all they're up to is just straight demolition.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, the entire Gaza Strip has been leveled at this point. Gaza City is the last area, and you see videos. They're just demolishing high-rise residential buildings. It's so disgusting. I'm going to leave you with this because on Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also stated this. They say it out loud, guys. So don't let anyone gaslight you and tell you otherwise. Netanyahu said, a Palestinian state will not be established west of the Jordan River for years. I have prevented the establishment of this terrorist state facing tremendous pressures at home and abroad. He just defames every Palestinian as a terrorist, denies them the right to self-determination. This is who Netanyahu has been from the very beginning. The founding charter for the Likud party specifically, it specifies that the goal for the party is to pursue the Greater Israel Project. There's no room for Palestine in the Greater Israel Project. And all of those surrounding Arab countries with governments that are essentially deferential to Israel at the moment. I mean, Israel's been bombing your country too. You're gonna sit there and take it. It's amazing. But Lebanon, go ahead and disarm Hezbollah. See how that works out for you. I'm sure Israel will play nice, just like they have in the past. Anyway, our government embarrasses me, honestly. And obviously, this issue has been dealt with poorly by both political parties. It made me sour on the Democratic Party entirely because of how Biden had handled the situation in Gaza. Obviously, Trump is no better.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.